Hey guys.
I'm Two Turtle Tom. This is Matthew Hills, uh,
Hey.
Hoosier Turtle and Tortoise Rescue. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Yeah.
Thank you for already 2 thumbs up. I'm in prison in Georgia, and Matthew is at his normal spot. No, I'm not really in prison. I'm just kind of in the carport of my Airbnb in good old Valdosta, Georgia, and I'm on a plant collection trip, Matthew.
I know. I'm fixing it.
So, um, how's your week going? You all back to
Man,
normal now after
Mother
being in
Nature.
Florida?
Mother Nature is such a fun thing.
Yeah,
Um, we're about to have um 27-degree temps, and
that's nuts.
it's going to be 78 tomorrow. But Tuesday it's going to be 27. So
Wow.
it's wreaking havoc on stuff. I'm redesigning some things in the turtle room, so I haven't actually gotten everything moved back from the garage because I'm kind of utilizing that while I'm doing, as I call, turtle Tetris. Um, hey Philip. So yeah, getting some piles of leaves and grass clippings and all that fun stuff. Buying bales of hay and filling my car as much as I can, bringing it home and going to buy more. So, but yeah, I'm gonna make a video. Honestly, I started to what we discussed last week, but the temps are so nice. I mean, I know you said yours are already down, and I sent you that video of mine. They're all up just right there, smiling back at me. So I can't, really do justice to make a video when they're not ready yet. So, but this weekend looks like it's going to be the weekend. So we're starting to lose some temp, and it's about to start.
So I'm really interested to see if my animals came out during this warm weather. I mean, it was definitely in the 70s at
Yeah.
home, but they're buried. If they're buried deep and it was down into the 40s, and there's not a lot of sun that reaches that spot, I don't know that they will have gotten warm enough to come out.
I think that's the key. Mine get a ton of sun.
Mm,
So they are. I really think that surface temperature, getting a lot of sun raises it quite a bit, and they're
yeah.
feeling that even from buried down a little ways, and they know whether they're going to get, sun when they emerge or not. They're smarter than we are in a
Well,
lot of
I,
ways.
I mean, I think they know it. I mean, they warm up in the ground
Yeah,
and they move around. And are you feeding your box turtles anymore?
not the ones outside.
Yeah.
No, I've stopped that completely. They haven't gotten food in a while, since leaving for Hawaii. So we have real nice temps right now. I could go out and try feeding them, and they would probably eat. But knowing that we're about to get cold temps, it's just not worth it. So I'll keep them. Keep them. They're full. They've all got really good weight. I've done good health checks on them. I've been clearing out more vegetation so they get more sun. Um, but yeah, I don't want to put any food in them this late.
And if they want to eat a slug or a bug or a worm outside,
That's
they can do that. That's
yeah.
their choice.
And I have plenty of video of them doing just that, finding worms. I've sent some to Cameron and Jeff, and they're like, "Gosh darn it! I wish mine found them, out in the yard. They're
They
so
live in the
dry out
desert.
there. Yeah, so dry they can't get any of that.
Yeah, no, totally. Cool. Well, what about what about like the Russians? Ralph says it was a frosty 83 today. Ralph, I
Yeah,
was in
bro.
Florida today. Most of the day I was in Gainesville and then we came up to Valdosta. So it's been pretty darn nice here. Um, but yeah. So what about the Russian tortoises? How are they and what are your prep
Uh,
things you have to do for
right,
those?
right now they are hitting the sun as hard as they can. They're finding all the sunny spots, and they're hitting those during the day. I'm not feeding them. They do have some stuff in their enclosure they could still go nibble on if they want. All the vegetation is edible, but they're not even really doing that. They're at the point now where if I even offered them stuff, I don't think they would eat much.
Okay.
Um, Maybe tomorrow after a couple days of warm weather, they may, eat something. But again, I'm not going to offer it to them. They've all got good weight. It's not worth it.
Will the Russians dig into the soil?
Oh yeah.
Do they create little burrows, or do
Oh
they just
yeah.
kind of like dig into the hole, into the ground? Like, how does that
So
work?
they'll dig down. It's they do this, throughout the year when they know a spot that they want to wake up in or wherever they decide is their sleeping spot. They will just kind of shuffle down and dig through the soil, loosen it up, and then cover themselves and then continue to dig. Um, they really don't put their butt up in the air and dig down or dig with their back legs like a female would lay in a nest. They're just shuffling down.
Hmm.
Once they get, I've got some that have a burrow that they've started underneath a big log I've got in their enclosure, and you'll see them shuffling it and moving the soil back, much like you would a gopher tortoise or a desert tortoise. But for the most part, they kind of just go down where they're at, and inside their cold frames, the soil is really conducive to digging really easily. So
Yeah, you've set it up that way.
yeah. So and there's a difference in how I set out their substrate when I lay them down. I'll for the tortoises, I'll put chopped straw down first, or really dry leaves first before I'll do a layer of grass clippings that have a little green to them, just because that's going to break down and create more moisture. And I want them to stay as dry as possible throughout the winter. Whereas my box turtles, it's the opposite. I'll throw grass clippings down first. And I'll, throw some green, leaves from trees, down in first with it before I'll put down dried leaves or straw. And then I'll just continue to do that in layers so that it composts throughout the winter.
Cool. Wow. Hermans, you also overwinter
Yep.
outside? What
Yep.
others? Am I missing any other species that you keep outside year round?
North American wood turtles,
Okay.
painted turtles, red ear sliders, yellow bellied sliders. Um, I was
Sean.
going to keep some map turtles, but I'm actually sending some map turtles to another TTPG member. So he's going to take the last three that I've got, which will be great. Um, I love them. They're absolutely beautiful. I don't have the passion to work with them like others
Yeah.
do, and he's really wanting to get into them, so or expand them. Sorry, so he's willing to take all three. I'm willing to send all three, so we're
Sounds
gonna do that
good.
next week. Yeah.
The wood turtles, they spend some time on land, some time in the water. So what do they do in the winter to hibernate?
So it's funny. Um, me and a couple other people were just discussing this earlier today. My wood turtles do not have a pond deep enough that it won't freeze all the way over in the winter. So I dry it up and I lay rocks and barricades in it so that they won't try to go back in because it will collect some water in it, just through the snow. And those darn things, you can't keep them down. They're up in the snow. As cold
Hmm.
hardy as they get. And I make a pile just like I do everything else, a pile of leaves, grass clippings, and straw,
Huh.
and they burrow down just like box turtles do.
Okay. Yeah,
And then
because
my Chinese box turtles stay out as well. Um,
yeah. Wow, it's awesome.
this year's gonna be nice. I got two rolls, 150-foot by 8.5 foot, 45 mil EPDM liner for like $100, $150.
Wow.
Insane, yeah. So, but they're so heavy I can't move them. So they've been in my driveway since I got them. So I've started unrolling it and then cutting out strips. And normally I use tarps out with, especially the box turtles, and I cover the area with a tarp so that it's not getting drenched with the snow and drenched with we get a lot of rain. You know how it is. Um,
Hmm?
this year I've decided I'm going to use this EPDM. It holds down so much heavier. It doesn't. It's not going to blow away, which is another issue with the tarps.
Mhm.
So if if you have a chance to get into some of this, I think it's going to work really well too. It's going to have a higher R value, obviously, than just regular tarp. And
Yeah.
there's no way any water or penetration is going to get through that stuff.
Yeah.
So, um, if I didn't have so much and it wasn't free, I don't know if I'd go out and buy it to do it. I looked the other day and it's about $2,400 a roll. Um, so it's not like I recommend people go do that.
Yeah.
But if you can get a cheap roll or if you have a bunch of leftovers, I
Mm.
think it's gonna work really well.
Yeah, and there's certainly different grades of plastic and things like that you can get.
Hmm.
Um, the th- the thicker the better. Would you say?
Yeah. Um, Kevin Minto and I have been discussing, um, he and I personally, and he and I in a little group, how to better insulate his. He's got a detached garage. Inside of that, he has a greenhouse that he is heating for his Aldabras that he has in Connecticut through a New England winter. So we've been discussing better ways he can do that. And one of the best ways I have found, because my garage is not insulated, um, is doing multiple layers of just cheap plastic wrap. Um, that 4 mil stuff that you buy at the hardware store.
Yeah.
But doing multiple layers of it puts an air layer in between each, and that's an individual buffer between the next. So I've found that it works quite well. You can maintain pretty decent temperatures with just that. My garage gets to 25, but the room that I block off in it with just the plastic wrap, I've maintained 70-degree temps with no problem.
Wow,
So
that is very cool. Well, let's
this
take a
year I'm going
sec
to
to
try it.
let's take a sec to reset. Welcome everybody.
Yeah,
Thanks for joining. We're using the phone apps tonight, so we can't see the chat quite as well. But shout out to Sean who just joined, Phil, Sam is in the audience, Patrick,
Jennifer.
and Jennifer A. So thank you everyone for joining me. I am in Valdosta, Georgia tonight. Um, this was the last day of a second trip to search for a rare oak tree and collect acorns called the Bluff Oak. And so I was in Gainesville, Florida, looking for this rare oak tree. And Matthew and I were just kind of conversing on the weather and what it takes to get his outdoor animals ready, and so that's pretty awesome. But I am down here where it's warm, and I'm freaking jealous of anybody that lives down here and keeps turtles outside. It's fantastic. Um, I mean, I
A lot
guess
less stress.
yeah. I mean, but I'll watch the Florida people get so stressed when a hurricane comes,
Yeah,
or
that's no
they have
joke.
collections of 50 turtles, and the 2 or 3 times a year that it gets really cold, they're spending like their day or 2 days getting all their animals inside. So that would be pretty frustrating as well.
I take the couple days a year that Ralph would have to move stuff in there, Mister Tampa. Uh,
Yeah.
versus the amount of stuff we have to do to just get our stuff set up.
Yeah. um and I haven't done anything to the box turtles. I don't know. I still haven't decided if I'm going to move them in, or set them outside. So Podrick says he still stresses every time it gets really cold. I mean, I wouldn't want my animals outside when it's like down into the upper 30s or lower
Yeah,
40s. That would be very stressful.
as a mammal, it's just so counterintuitive to us.
Yeah, yeah. My little Bell's Hingeback that I own, it was out frequently this fall. when
Yeah.
temps went down into the 50s.
How cold do you ever let your Homiana get?
They don't stay outside. They're never
Right,
outside ever,
but
ever,
even
ever, ever.
inside, because
Yeah,
yours is a basement, right?
it's like 66 degrees. So yeah, Ralph. Now that Ralph is mainly working with tropical species, he has them in a indoor situation. So
Yeah, he's got
um,
some Hermans.
not
They can
yeah,
handle. They can
yeah,
handle it though. I don't
yeah.
think.
He's
Yeah.
he's quite a bit further south than I was, but I was thinking to myself like, wow, this would be really cool. So Sam says he ended up getting another female Homiana. He fell into the rabbit hole. So
Nice.
welcome, welcome. You'll love
I'm
it.
so
And
glad we got you sunk in there.
yeah, thanks to
It's a good
Matthew.
group to be in.
Um, we need more people working with Homiana, and we need more people to give this video a thumbs up, please.
Yeah.
If you
Only
could
3 likes.
just hit that thumbs up button, I would really appreciate it. Um, so what questions do you have for me, Matthew, about my trip down here?
So, when you guys are looking for those trees, uh, is it you go to a spot, you glass for a little while, you see what you can find with your binoculars. If there's a possible tree, you hike over to it. I mean, how does it work?
Yeah, so we are collaborating with someone named Ron Lance, who works for the North American Land Trust and is one of the best botanists, woody plant botanists of the entire southeastern U.S. So what he
Nice.
has done, he has put together a list of sites where we absolutely know the tree is there, and he's actually been to these sites. So those are what we call our acorn collection sites. We know where exactly to go. We know exactly where the tree is. We go there. We get out the binoculars. We say, does this tree have any acorns? Hopefully, there's hundreds, but sometimes there's none,
Mm,
zero, which kind of means we can't really do much. And then so we'll maybe search for other trees in that area that he hasn't
okay.
found, and then we'll go hiking all over the woods and see if we can
All
find them.
all age trees. I mean, are you mainly looking for saplings, yearlings, stuff like that?
we we're trying to identify where this tree grows, period, but these specific trips are to collect acorns. Now is prime
Okay.
time. So Kyle is late. Kyle, we are talking about my trip down here. And so then we have some sites where we think the plant might be. We
Okay.
might have some tips on hey, someone collected what we call an herbarium specimen, basically snipped a leaf and some acorns, put it in a plant museum. We can find those sites and look for them and see if those trees are still there. So sometimes we don't know where the tree is. We just have some old information that may be like 40 or 50 years old that says,
Yeah.
yeah, it's at this park, and
Yeah.
we just follow those instructions. We know the bluff oak grows on bluffs above the river, so you go there, you look at the bluffs above the river, and then you look for trees. And sometimes you find them. Sometimes you find
Thumbs up.
another tree that they thought was the bluff oak, but
But
really
it's
isn't
not.
the bluff oak at all. So, and then like our last site today, we just saw a new public park. We needed one more site, and then we went there, and we're like, yeah, okay, this is along the river. It was along the Suwannee River, which is the most
That's
black,
cool.
tannic, blackwater river I've ever
Is
seen.
it?
Um,
Yeah.
and sure enough, we found one tree that was about 6 feet tall. We had no idea there
Nice.
were any there. So
Well,
that's how we ended the day. It's pretty cool.
let
Um,
me ask you a question that goes along with that. My neighbor and I were discussing it. He's noticed after living here for 30 some odd years with the walnuts that we have.
mhm.
Every year that we have a really hard walnut year, we get a ton of dropped walnuts. It's a
Yeah,
really hard winter.
yeah.
Um, is there any data to back that up? It's something I'm hoping it's not true because we've got a really bad walnut
I
year.
mean, you know, I haven't seen any, and it's not very. like sexy research to figure that kind of stuff out. So there's a
Yeah,
lot
but
of
I want
like
to know.
apocryphal things. Well, you could fund it, but so this oak that we're looking for, where we
Right, but I didn't know if
started,
it was translate.
uh, yeah, on the Flint River. Um, Podrick says we're not interested in Quercus boyntonii. Um, this work has already been done with Quercus boyntonii, Podrick. So we're interested in it, but the project has already been done for that species. Um, so the acorns in Georgia, they were like on the Flint River, I think. No, it was the Altahama River. The trees were covered in acorns, and we could have collected hundreds. But by
Okay.
the time we got down to Gainesville, Florida, we found zero acorns in the Gainesville area.
Wow.
Incidentally, I've never seen so many motor scooters in my life, like little Vespa type things, as I did today on the campus of the University of Florida. Um,
Huh.
but anyway, so who knows? Who knows what it really means? Um,
Yeah.
it's really complicated and it's really dynamic. So it changes every winter. So how can you really measure why the acorns or the nuts were successful?
Is
Maybe
there
some
is there a
years.
way to go back? Is there any data tracked on whether it was a heavy year for them or not? Um, and if so, I mean, we can look back. I know they track the data, but or the weather, but do they
I mean,
track?
there are some people who keep long-term data sets on that kind of thing. So there's this famous project in Canada that forecasts finch movements down from Canada. No, it was a Dos Equis. Um, so they
Not endorsed
forecast.
by either.
Yeah, they forecast the number of birds, these rare finches that will come down into the Midwest from Canada based on the pine seed crop. So
Oh.
if there's it's kind of weird. If there's a lot of seeds, that meant there was a lot of food for the finches.
Mm-hmm.
They produced a lot of babies, and those babies need to go somewhere, so they
Yeah.
go down south. Um, Sometimes maybe no food is produced, or it's a very bad seed crop, and not many birds were produced, but they still have to fly south because they're looking for food. So, it could
Like
be one bad day in the spring can kill all the flowers on an oak tree or a black walnut, and you don't get any seeds 6 months later. So it could just be like one thing. Black walnuts, they come out very late,
late.
right?
Yeah.
So,
Every,
maples,
every year, I'm
oak
hoping my
trees.
neighbor's dead.
Yeah. So if you have a black walnut, and you get like a really late frost, like a late May frost, that could just destroy the walnut crop. And how is a late May frost related to your winter the next year? So,
Yeah. And I wouldn't want that. That would wreak havoc on the turtles.
so I'm down here, but I also did see lots of cool reptiles and amphibians, just sort of incidental. So,
Somebody asked if you saw any hogs. I think Dan.
okay, yeah. So Dan, the last trip we saw like 30 hogs with like two moms. Like each mom had like 15 hogs, and that woods had no acorns in it, so they had been busy. Um, how do I kill my neighbor's tree? Um, it's called the herbicide. Herbicide. You can spray it on the tree. You can even inject it into the bark, and it will die.
You can drill and then
So
put poison in.
yeah, so you wanna do it at night, Mark. You want to do it at night. Then they won't see you. So
Wear a mask.
wear a mask. Um, you know, and at least in Ohio, you can cut all the way up your property line into the sky. So if your
Oh, we
neighbor's
do.
tree is
My,
leaning on your property, you can just cut that right where it enters your property.
my neighbor has a black walnut that's probably 60, 70 feet tall.
Yeah.
And it hangs right over our house. We had it cut back a couple of years ago. We need to do it again. Because it just,
Yeah. 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 You don't want to mess with that. There are yeah, Phil says there are cameras everywhere. That's why you gotta wear a
yeah.
mask. Have somebody drop you off uh, from a car and then pick you up again so the cameras don't see you walking out of your house to kill the tree. Um, oh yeah. So Patrick said the Tumors Oaks on Auburn. Someone killed the oaks there. These huge classic oak trees, and that was quite sad. So
Really.
okay, reptiles. Lots of reptiles down here, man. Um, I didn't see any land turtles, unfortunately, but we saw what are they called? River cooters,
Oh, yeah.
big ones, real big ones,
How big do
right in
they
the
get down
middle
there?
of the river.
Someone in the audience, how big do they get down there?
They
16
get
inches?
huge.
16, 17 inches, something like that?
Yeah, totally. They're big. I was just making sure my man. The trains are crazy here. Can you hear the train?
Yeah, I heard something.
Yeah, and the cars zipping by. We started seeing the brown anoles in Gainesville. That was quite sad. We were up in Georgia and only saw green anoles, but the brown anoles are starting. So I think I saw a map turtle,
Oh, yeah?
and that's it for turtles. Uh, we didn't see any snakes this time. We saw fence lizards. We went to this place
Okay.
called Kolomoki Mound State Park. Tons of fence lizards there. Um, Lots of green anoles in Georgia. That's pretty cool. And alligators.
Lots
Unfortunately,
of.
I did not see any alligators, but several of the people on the trip saw them. So that was pretty
Really?
cool. And I mean, it's the weather here is the bomb. I know it's probably warmer than average, just like it's warmer at home,
Yeah.
but it was pretty cool. So yeah, that's the deal. I'll be done traveling for a while. Um, Sean is back. Hello again. Yeah, Jen A says fence lizards are so nostalgic. I love fence lizards and
Yeah. That
uh,
brought back memories.
uh, Podrick says I saw the map turtle on the Flint River, Podrick. So that's where I saw the map turtle.
What one is in.
So I don't know what's on the Flint River. So, but I didn't bring my camera with a big telephoto lens or anything. So
Yeah.
who knows what it really was? It just
Yeah.
seemed to have a pointed kind of top to its shell rather than the more smooth cooter type
Right.
shell. So, um, oh yeah, we found tons of green tree frogs at our Airbnb last night or 2 nights ago.
Really.
Little ones, and maybe there are some other species. I don't know, but there's
I
just
would.
animals all over the place. You just walk through the woods, and little brown anoles scurry about, or at night, green tree frogs in the country are everywhere. I'm looking for any around here. I don't see any, but
I'll tell you, I just watched Tanner, the Sherpa design,
mm-hmm.
and I just watched. He redid his Firebelly Toad one again. I don't think it was too long ago. He's redone it a couple times now.
Yeah.
But that, I mean, is something I know I've talked to you about it for a couple of years now. Finding some. I'd really love to get some Firebelly Toads, but just frogs in general. That's what I generally caught as a kid more often than anything else, just because they were more plentiful.
Yeah,
I'd
people
love to get
are
back into them.
people are breeding fire-bellied toads. So.
I know. I talked with David about it. So,
Kelly.
yeah.
Yeah, well,
He was hoping to
ready.
have some for me this year, but it didn't happen.
You're
So
ready.
I really, after watching Tanner's videos, I want to get something really nice for him. I mean, he sets the bar so darn high, and I'm redoing my turtle room today or right now, and I'm just looking at all of that he does, and then seeing guys like Mark Da Silva and what he can do with plants too. It's like, golly, I need that gift, that green thumb that they've got. So
Yep.
I'll get there.
You will. It's the climb, says
Yeah.
Miley Cyrus or something like that. So,
You a big Miley Cyrus fan?
yeah, absolutely, aren't you?
I don't know if I could name a single song of her.
Podrick says Tanner is over talented, or I thought he was going to say overrated or something.
Overly talented, yeah, man.
Yeah.
He has a lot of gifts. I'd love to actually get him on and talk. I know he does a lot with plants, but he's a pet guy. He's an animal guy at heart.
Well, we need to get Charlie Moorcroft
Yeah.
To hook us up with Tanner.
Yeah.
And
Dan met him too.
Yes. Dan the Turtle Man.
Yeah.
Roselli. Yeah. So, well, I think this has been excellent, and we are going to have a great rest of October. TTPG is coming up. We're going to try to get a few more guests on. I'm going to try to get Harry Odell, who's building a really cool turtle facility, another Ohio person.
Hey, you know what? He just shipped me some turtles today.
There you go.
On accident. So Anthony Pierleone was there was a mix up in the label, what label got on what box, and I got his turtles, he got my turtles. So he had to ship me mine.
Oh, that's hilarious. No problem. We fix those problems as we get there.
It'd be fun to talk to him now that I've gotten some turtle shit from him. He did a good job.
Yeah. So, and then if anybody is familiar with Tiptoe the tortoise, I need to email Caitlin back and just give her a little nudge. But I emailed Caitlin Doran and said, "Hey, you want to come on our show and talk about sulcatas?" And she's like, "You know what? That might be a really good idea." So, who knows? We have big aspirations. We want to bring all kinds of people on this show that just love turtles and love tortoises and are interested in doing things better.
She does a really good job. I don't think anyone can say that she doesn't enrich Tiptoe's life.
No,
she takes that thing everywhere.
Yeah, and she made a video about like 10 things to consider before getting a sulcata tortoise.
Yeah,
her last video.
She was honest about it too.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. I like that it. Honestly, my daughters send me videos about her all the time.
Yeah,
I mean, it really is inspiring especially younger girls, to get into this.
Yes.
My daughter has a couple tortoises that are hers, and she wants to have for her whole life.
Yes.
And that's fun. It's inspiring to see that.
Yes.
So.
And we are decidedly mostly male attendance and viewership. Jen A, thank you for representing.
Yes, Jenny, thank you.
We need to diversify a little bit, but are you all prepared to go to TTPG?
I am. Okay. I can't wait.
Got your tickets and everything?
Yep. I fly out early. I stay late. I'll be staying with Cameron again this year, which I love. I get to see capybaras and porcupines
Yeah.
and then a ton of awesome tortoises as well. Um, so, and I've got some turtles that I own that stay there, so it's nice to see them in person and get some eyes on them, which is cool. So yeah, Jeff Kasperik's, another good friend I want to see out there, and so yeah, it's a good time.
Awesome. Okay, Matthew. Well, I'm gonna hit the road here and
All right,
say goodbye. Sign off from Valdosta, Georgia. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. You have a great rest of your week, wonderful weekend, and we'll see you back
thanks, guys.
next week with Harry Odell.
Nice.
We'll try to get Harry on. We'll see you next week. See you, everyone.
For the turtles.
Thanks, Matthew.